Hello, and welcome to another episode of O Faces. I am your host, Mr. Mocha. I want to thank you for joining me on another segment of The Cutting Board. Here on The Cutting Board, you don't have to learn to think like a man because we're going to bring men on to tell you exactly how we think and what we think about in the lifestyle. But before we get going, if you enjoy listening to the O Faces podcast, which includes the Dirty Girls Corner and Mrs. Mocha's Slut Tribe, please go on and give us a subscription. By subscribing to the podcast, you'll have access to bonus episodes as well as episodes that are not released. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the podcast, and I'm going to introduce you to our guest for today. I know we want to talk about Splash Mocha from a guy standpoint, but before we even get started, I'm going to have to introduce my brother, Demetri from Velvet Curtain. Demetri is the gentleman who is responsible for vetting and inviting and maintaining all the single males that come to Splash Mocha. And a lot of people don't know exactly how you go through your process or how much work you put into it. But, I got to give you a lot of props because the ladies were very, very happy with the talent that you approved to come to the party this time in Houston.
Oh, of course, the overall message is to let the people know, as well as our guests and friends, that you have more than just a BBC. You have a gentleman above any and everything with true merit, etiquette. They also have the experience of a true bull's nature to fit Splash Smoker's environment. And that's where I want to continue to go.
So I know you've been taking care of the guys, for the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
2 or 3 years. And I know we talked with Scarlett and Anya earlier. We were just talking about, we had a lot of conversation about the role of, cucks, bulls, things like that. And this conversation that you and I have on a regular basis, because I think there are a lot of guys out there who want to be bulls, but they don't really understand a bull's role. And we had some good conversation about that. From your standpoint, what is a bull?
I don't want to give a box definition or my own personal definition, because that'll be contradicting to the general definition of what a bull's definition of what it may be.
What is expected from a bull? I mean, we all know that there's different levels to it, but we've also had the conversation about guys in the lifestyle who think they're bulls, but they're just wife fuckers, and there's a big difference. So, in your opinion, what's the difference between a bull and a wife fucker? Experience is one of them. Trust is a big factor. It also takes time and comfort. You also have to be open-minded from the hot wife, the cook, the stag, the vixen, or whatever they identify themselves as. And you also got to conform to their identity as well. You can't just express your dominance right off the bat because your dominance may make them uncomfortable. And a lot of people, those little minute traits always make the introduction shut down and the doors are closed on you. So I do really believe that from a bull's perspective, or the responsibility of a bull by identification, you want to build a trust. You want to build mutual respect. You also got to be willing, above anything, to take as much time as needed to gain that comfort. Because at the end of the day, this is this man's wife. This is his queen. And that's a king. They also in it together. Whether he play or not, engage or not, or vice versa. You got to take those strides and those factors, or you would not be a successful bull in this environment. Again, we stated this before. A lot of people, they get that book and they read the title and they go straight to the end. And whatever's in the middle, they make it personal. And then you want to label yourself a bull because they probably have an 8 to 10 inch dick. But you may not get a chance to whip that 8 to 10 inch dick out because you don't have a decent conversation. Do you know how to properly greet? Do you know how to properly say hello? Do you know how to put out a chair? Anything
making sure that you're a gentleman above any and everything up under the bull's umbrella. Because one true bull, no other true bull.
Mm-hmm.
I tend not to call them out, but I will pull them to the side and let them know they're lacking. Because again, there's a reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
Do you want that behavior to continue? No, you don't. So it's honor amongst us all.
And you know something, the one thing I have to say is I think that you and I think that we do need to call them out. You know, we don't got to call anybody by name, but there are a lot of, you know, I'll say so-called bulls out here who make the ideal bull or the bull that couples are looking for look bad. And like you said, a lot of guys think because they have a big dick, that means they qualify to be a bull. No, that's not how it works. You don't qualify because you have a large dick. You know, whenever you're talking about sex and fantasy, it's a fantasy, and how you play your role in that fantasy is very important. I can't tell you how many people I've listened to. I mean, I've listened to a lot of different people over the years. I've listened to different shows. And it's interesting to me how much bad information is put out there about what the cuckolding lifestyle is. And there's very little information put out there about what a bull is. And so people think that to qualify, you just have a big dick, you know. And for us, you know, coming into the category of being a BBC bull, because we know that oftentimes when you add the black male, you have a bull and you have the black bull, there's a certain expectation that couples have when they have this fantasy. And a lot of these guys aren't able to step in the role to fulfill that because they're not really paying attention to what the couples really want. They're going into it thinking about what they want. And that, to me, I think when you have people putting out information, a lot of people put out incorrect information on what it really means and what the role is. And like you said earlier, you don't want to make it personal because, of course, every couple's looking for something different. But you've been a bull for years. Every couple you play with is different, and they're looking for something different. But as a bull, you have the ability to adapt to what that couple is looking for. You know, and that to me, I think is important.
Of course, you know, the message and the delivery for me is I made smart man decisions and patterns. You know, I learned from my mistakes. Which also means I made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. So moving forward within the time and the years I've been in this environment, I tend to have these conversations, these building process, this grooming to make sure these brothers that come up have wise men decisions. They don't make the same mistakes I went through. You know, so once they see that they're going down that path, they better pull themselves back and don't fall into that trap like I did, you know. Or, like you said prior, they want to be pretty much every woman's fantasy. But yeah, if they don't know, they can turn that shit into a nightmare. You know, and they can make it worse for everybody. And then that's when you have the poor assumptions factor kick in. Or just the bad assumptions kick in. You know, your certain traits can trigger somebody to go, okay, guy. Or the way he dressed, he present himself, vocabulary, hygiene.
Oh my God!
You know, all these factors. Yes, all these factors plays into that poor assumptions that will just lead it to a nightmare.
Yeah.
So
I've heard you get on guys about that. I've heard you had to have conversations. I mean, hell, we had where was it? Florida that we had the seminar and we talked about, you know, hygiene and the way you present yourself.
Fuck yeah.
It's you're selling a fantasy. And I think that's where a lot of guys fuck up at. You're selling a fantasy, and if you're not willing to live up to that fantasy, you should step back because, you know, there's more than just the dominant aspect of it. You know, she is fantasizing about a certain man with a certain type of swag, who looks good, who smells good, who speaks well, I met quite a few guys who want to be in this particular role, but they're not willing to take the time to adapt to the people they're dealing with. So if you are speaking to couples and, you know, you identify that they speak well, they're having intelligent conversations, you know, take the time to upgrade your vocabulary. Take the time to become a better speaker, because being a bull is not something that you do one time. It's a lifestyle. And I have met a lot of guys I've met a lot of guys, and you told me about a guy in particular who I've learned it was a good friend of yours and someone who I like a lot, who when he first got into the lifestyle, his vocabulary wasn't really good. He didn't carry himself well. But over time and over the years, he continued to improve himself. And then he was able to offer not just a huge dick to the couples. He learned how to be charming. He learned how to speak better. You know, you are selling a fantasy, you know. But now I do think that one of my biggest pet peeves, like I said earlier, is that there are a lot of bulls out there who really aren't bulls. They don't really have a dominant personality. It's just it's an act.
Yes, it's an act of living within the fantasy of a fantasy. Mm-hmm. They're in a fantasy environment and they're creating a fantasy fictional character. And they're living within that. So that's exactly what they are, you know. And again, there's misinformation, you know, it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. It's very, very damaging. You know, especially if you're engaging with a lot of people, you know, because again, upon that meet, you know, the anticipation of meeting up, it shouldn't be, oh my God, I hope he's not that guy. They should be looking forward to meeting you and preparing for a great evening. Not looking forward to the meeting or the meet and greet and just waiting to get it over with. But like you said, it's a fantasy. It shouldn't be a nightmare. So this is why my vetting process has become very, very detailed and lengthy. If they can't give me a lengthy conversation to, I don't want to say sell themselves to me, but that's just what it is, you know.
Absolutely.
Just gotta talk, you know. Our platform is not your platform at that moment. And I tell them that. It's not your platform at the moment. And I will wait patiently, you know, until you go take the time to make yourself better yourself, better those traits I know inform you about, and then give you another chance. But again, do you remember the meeting I had? I said, you wake up every morning with a choice and a chance. Mm-hmm. I would give you that chance, but it's your choice to take that chance. These are things you need to do to get that chance again.
Yeah. So I know we have a few people who are in there, and I know Naughty jumped in earlier, but Naughty, you mind jumping in for a second with us? Very, very sexy woman in the lifestyle who has a cuck. And I would like to know, what are you looking for?
My bull. Okay. So what I am looking for, like both of you have said, which is, you know, well-spoken. You know, I do enjoy having a conversation and being able to hold a conversation with someone. I like to speak about things other than, you know, just fucking. You know, I have a lot of different interests. I love mathematics. I love physics. I love astronomy. I love Marvel films. I love all different kinds of, I'm a very big nerd. But yes, I also do love talking about sex. Hygiene is extremely important. If your dick smells, I'm not touching it.
I'm sorry.
You know, circumcision, uncircumcision, that does not matter to me. Just make sure it's clean and manscaped. I don't want to be getting some dental floss from your hair on your dick. Hitting those, you know, like earlier we were talking about communication, your expectations from each other. what my expectations would be and what their expectations would, what they like, what I like, and, you know, coming to a middle ground with a lot of people that I did meet with. I had a middle ground with them, and we spoke about what we liked, what we didn't like, you know, what we're all into, and those encounters were extremely hot and way above and beyond, you know, what I had expected, and it was amazing.
Now, one thing I remember you said before, I mean, I know you're not looking for some dude to fall in love with, but you are looking for some sort of chemistry.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to build, you know, I would build a friendship with you. However, I love my husband. I don't love you. I want to fuck you, but I also want to be your friend. You know, everyone's like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? You know, what's going on? You're like, oh, shit, well, work fucking sucks, but, you know, it is what it is. How's your day going? You know, and being able to talk like normal people, because I am a huge talker, and I'm sure a lot of people realized that when they met me. But I love talking. I love communicating. You know, it's just what I do. Yeah, I'm not going to love you. I'm going to fuck you, but I will be your friend.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I know that I have realized that when you're first kind of meeting the couples, you have different type of couples where you do have people who are big talkers. I know you're not afraid to communicate. Then I've met couples who they want the communication, but they don't know how to initiate the communication. You know,
I did meet several people that were saying that they had a difficult time communicating with people, whereas I would just be like, oh, look, there's Ashley sitting over there. I'm going to go sit at that table and talk to all these people. I don't know who they are, but I'm just going to start talking to them, because I'm just that kind of person. I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to talk. But I also listen. I'm trying to do, what is it called? I can't think of the word right now, but wherever you're listening.
Active listening?
Yeah. Yes, that is the word. Sorry.
Active listening. No, that's okay. I mean, listening is actually a skill. Everyone doesn't have it. Listening, you have to learn how to listen. Now, another question I have is, how do you expect your bull to interact with your husband?
So whenever we have the interactions, you know.
And once again, we're just talking about the communication aspect at first.
Yeah. So initially, my husband actually used to reach out initially to people. We learned since we moved to a new city, and it's more difficult to find partners here, that I needed to get more involved. So I got more involved. I started doing all the communications initially. My husband would do communications. He would give me his feedback on what he thought of the person. And then, you know, we would go from there. You know, when we're meeting, we're all shaking hands or we're hugging. And, you know, I always say, I don't want you humiliating him, because we're not into humiliation. Like, that's just not what we do. Yeah, I'll tell him about how great this guy fucking made, but, you know, I'm not into, like, being extremely humiliating with him. But, you know, them having a good rapport with each other is important, because then he's going to feel comfortable with him fucking me, and I'm going to be able to feel comfortable with fucking him and having my husband watch, or, you know, be in the other room. It's just, everyone's going to be, like, comfortable with it. Okay. And that, I think, is very.
So I'm gonna jump back to D, because me and D have a lot of conversations, you know, just very, very candid conversations off mic. D's my brother, so like we don't filter anything. We're never concerned with the offending part. Now, I have to say this, as a bull, one of my biggest pet peeves, once I really began to establish myself, was I had issues where wives would get too attached. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes, I have, actually. Throughout my years, yes, I have.
Yeah, I think. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, it came within the comfort, you know. Maybe the little affection I showed was just overwhelming to them, that they actually saw more within the act and the conversation or my presence, you know. Also, I always say this. I have not fucked a slut or a female that haven't became a friend. And I do believe that my circle is very, very vast, and they know that I'm a friend. It's not just my words; it's my actions. And I like to connect people. But yeah, I had a few of them that they took it too far.
How did you handle that? How did you handle that?
Well, I engaged with the husband at first, and then I brought her into the conversation. At first, I wanted to have a conversation with him, man to man, on the situation, because I want to make sure that it's fair and respectful on mutual grounds. And then I brought it in where it was me and him both talking to her on how you're making this situation unhealthy. So it was very, very open, very, very, it was blunt. Where, look, I'm here to fuck you, please you, have a good time, do all these great things from a bull's point of view, but I'm not here to replace your husband. I'm not here for that. I'm an additive to the cake mix. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to make little cupcakes with you, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here for that. And again, like I said, the overall principle and the basis of it, this is this man's wife. I'm thankful enough that he's sharing his wife, because at the end of the day, either one can cut it off, and the show is over. So when it got too uncomfortable for me, I stepped back so they can gain their more, so they can have their moment, fall in love, talk, become healthy again. But in the middle of that time, I also remain a friend, because it's not just from a simple text or a hello or a good morning or whatever. You getting those texts from a true friend, it makes you feel better. And it also makes you feel better by making that person feel better. So if the lover relationship stops, at least you still have that friendship.
I think when I was younger, I had a really interesting experience. I was bulled to a couple, and I was bulled to them for quite a while. And the wife was, they became friends, but the wife just got uncomfortably attached. And I remember, at the time I was a single parent at the time, and I was unable to, they lived probably about an hour and a half away from me, and I was able to make it out. And she had a full on temper tantrum. Now, you know my personality. I don't negotiate with terrorists. Like, it's not what I do. So needless to say, when that happened, my response was, if you can't be understanding to my situation, especially since I thought we were friends and I explained my situation, then I just won't talk to you. So I didn't talk to her for a while. And, her husband and I, he called, he's like, dude, it's like a month later, he's like, dude, she's been miserable. I really need you to call her and apologize to her. And I'm like, what? Call her and apologize to her? I was like, first of all, let's get this straight. I am not you. You are her submissive. I am not her submissive. She will not speak to me the way she speaks to you. And I will not call her and apologize. And now that you suggested that, I won't call her at all. So, another period of time went by, and she finally called. And, at that point, I was over it. So she calls, I answered the phone, and I answered it like nothing had happened. She had called, that's like the second time she called. So, hey, how are you? I'm well. She's like, I don't appreciate the fact that you didn't, and I hung up before she finished. So I hang up the phone. So she calls back multiple times. Finally, her husband calls again a couple days later. He's like, dude, she's calling to try to make things right. I'm like, I don't believe she's calling to try to make things right. I think she thought she was speaking to you yet again. I am not that person. You are her submissive. I am not. I am her bull. So finally she calls back she calls back. She called back multiple times. I finally answered a couple weeks later, and she picks up the phone. Well, I pick up the phone and I said, "Hey, how are you?" She said, "Oh, I'm doing well." And she said, "I just wanted to say," and I was like, "Am I going to hang up again?" She was like, No, wait. So she apologized for her behavior. And, you know, for me, it was, at the end of the day, I'm a dominant person by nature. And they were my friends and I did like them, but she confused the roles. I understand that. Understanding that I am dominant by nature. It is my nature. I don't pretend to do this. There are a lot of guys who are bulls who pretend to be, and a lot of guys have the misconception that being a bull means that, you know, you're choking somebody or you're being rough and aggressive. That's not what it means. It's just that I am a dominant person. I'm not a beta male. Her husband was a beta male, and, you know, his life was hell because she wasn't getting what she wanted, and she thought that she was going to speak to me in that manner, which obviously didn't work out. So once I actually finally had a conversation with her, then I took the time to explain to her that there's a certain way you behave with me. In the bedroom, the fact that you and your husband has trusted me as a bull to come in and you've given me the steering wheel and I get to take control. I work within my zone in that scene. Outside of that scene of the bedroom, I don't talk to your husband disrespectfully. I don't speak to you disrespectfully. In the real world, I take a whole lot less shit than I would in the bedroom, you know, because that's a fantasy. But me in the real world, and her and I, we wound up reconciling, but it was still a while before I played with her. And I told her it's going to be a while before I will play with you again. Do you have a problem with that? And, you know, she was very bratty. She was just very bratty by nature. Beautiful woman. I don't believe anyone's ever said no to her in her life. And when I asked her that question, I was very entertained because she paused for a minute because I know she wanted to say something, but I know she was thinking he's going to hang up on me if I say the wrong thing. So I let that pause stretch out. And she said, "No, just let me know. Just let me know when you're going to play with me again." And I said, "I'll tell you what, you can ask me in a couple of weeks." You know, well, do I get to talk to you in the meantime? Absolutely. And I said, the incident is over. If you bring it up again, then we're going to extend the amount of time, because I'm one of those people, if you apologize and say you won't do it again, then it's over. But like any crime, you got to do the time. Listen, exactly. You can tell the judge you're sorry, and the judge can believe you, but once he sentenced you, you're sentenced. And that was how that interaction went, which was really funny. And just throughout my lifestyle experience, because just like you, when I interact with a person, you can't interact with a like-minded human being for an extended period of time and not create some sort of connection. But I also, as a bull, I've never been that person where, because I've met a lot of guys who are quote unquote bulls who've been with couples and the husband is a submissive and they've got, you know, this attractive, bratty, sexy wife. And the guy is so concerned with having sex that he forgets that he is the dominant, and he falls almost into that submissive role. And then at some point she begins to no longer respect him because she's not looking for a guy who she can push over, you know. And I've definitely talked to a lot of so-called bulls who've experienced that, where they're like, "Hey, have you ever been in a situation where the wife, you know, she's trying to kind of run you over?" And I'm like, I mean, I've been in a situation where they've attempted, but I've never been in a situation where it's happened, you know. So, yeah, but that's just me.
Well, I'm about to say that's just you, you know. You are true to who you are, and a lot of people, you know, they let their feelings, they let pussy, they let gifts, traits, or whatever cloud the logic of why they really there. you know, and of course, like you said, we've seen it. You know, those type of people are that few. You know, that's the experience they got to learn on their own. You know, because again, it's very, very hard to teach somebody that they're going down the wrong path when they're in their feelings. Mm-hmm. It then become argumentative to where you're going back and forth, and you both are trying to make a valid point. Your point may be based off logic. His is going to be based off feelings. Mm-hmm. To her, now she got two fucking cuts or two thugs or whatever you want to identify yourself as. Mm-hmm. And what does that make? She's going to open that umbrella back up and hope to find another bull. So they both could be sitting on the sideline. Watch somebody else will take their place.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
We seen it, but we saw it so many times, and I'm pretty sure we'll see it again.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
On those points, that's why I always tell them, I'm going to fuck you. I'm not going to love you, but I will build a friendship with you. Mm-hmm.
So have you ever had a bull? Have you ever met a bull, that a guy who you thought was going to be a bull, but he turned out not to be what you expected him to be?
Well, I mean, it was the story I told you earlier about the pastor guy. Yeah. Demetri, did I tell you that story?
About the who?
Okay.
Exactly. She did that to me earlier. She's like, yeah, everybody knows about the pastor situation. Okay, if I didn't know about it, tell me that shit again. Okay. So you tell Demetri about the pastor.
Okay, so I've told so many people over the weekend. So basically, we just moved to a new city, and it was the first time we were meeting this bull, and he stuck me, and then about 20 minutes into it, he stops and he starts talking to my husband, and he's like, "Hey, next Friday we're gonna go fishing, me and my pastor in Port Aransas. You want to go?" And we're like, "What the fuck? No." So, I mean, I did kind of like break off communication. I had broken off from that. I was like, I'm not looking for that kind of relationship. That's too fucking weird for me.
Hey, speaking of pastors, I used to fuck this pastor's wife, dude. It was fucking awesome. I was fucking her for a good year before I found out he was a pastor. He would always kind of be vague about what he did for a living. And finally one day he's like, I've known you long enough to tell you, I'm a pastor. And for some reason, that just made me enjoy fucking his wife that much more.
Well, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this incident that happened on the plane yesterday on my way home from Splash Smoker. Of course, we were all dead fucking tired. Well, I ended up running to my slut, and her husband was there, and he said, "Hey, wife is over there." I said, "Okay, I'll see her." I go sit beside her, and then, just out of pure conscience, I just locked lips with her and didn't realize, my environment. I'm in the airport. So people looking like, the fuck? And I'm in the middle now, and now the husband's on my left. So now they get on the plane before me, and they say, "Hey, we saved you a seat in the aisle." Now, I know I was going to fall asleep on her, the time I've been up. So I'm trying not to call her name. So she's holding her husband's hand while he's at the window seat. And my head is back, and I'm dozing off, but she got her hand on my thigh while my hand is on top of her hand. And so my eyes are closed, and the lady asked me, she said, "Sir, do you want something to drink?" And I was like, "Huh?" And she said, "Oh, ma'am, you can't be touching him." And she said, "Oh, this is my boyfriend." And I wake up like fully. And then she held the other hand up. She goes, "And my husband, no." And he goes, "Hi."
Nice.
Man, just say this. I didn't get my fucking drink.
Hey, listen.
You know how fucking thirsty I was for 2.5 hours?
I think that's definitely one of my favorite experiences, like when you go somewhere with a couple and like you meet a couple out and you're standing there and you walk in and they're together as husband and wife, and as soon as you sit next to her, like her entire body language changes. she angles her body towards you. She's staring at you. And when you're looking around it, like, I love looking at the way other people are trying to figure out what the fuck is going on over there. All right, let's see. Who just jumped in with us? We just had somebody jump in and join us.
Yeah, it was me.
All right.
Demetri's story is true because I was in the seat behind him and just crushing my leg the whole entire time.
Listen. Very nice, very nice. So how was Splash for you?
Oh, it was great. It's my fifth time. Houston's a little different, I think. For some reason, I saw a lot of new people that I haven't seen before, and everybody was just a lot more friendly. So I think that's always a good thing. But no, it was, new city. I mean, the weather was what it was. I had a good time. I always have a good time. So no complaints here.
Good.
That's an experience.
So now here's a question for you.
Better.
So are you? What is your role in the lifestyle? Are you stag vixen? Are you a bull? Are you a manicorn? You just fucking hot wives? What? How do you?
I would say probably just fucking hot wives. I'm a single guy, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Now, Naughty, is he going to say hi to us?
Huck, do you want to say hello? He just texted me saying that he was on. So,
well, tell him we said hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's Dee nice.
So,
okay.
Who just joined us here? Wait a minute. Who just jumped in on the group? All right,
me. I was in there last week, so I wanted to say what up.
I was about to say, man, listen, you was here. You know the deal. You got to jump in and introduce yourself.
Yes. Loves 31 Flavors. I just got back from Splash yesterday. Crazy experience. Demetri, I sat with you. You came over, hollered at me during breakfast time. The first time that I went in Fort Lauderdale, you remember the advice you gave me that I kind of didn't listen of.
You didn't?
Being a marathon and not a sprint. I was like, nah, I'm cool. I got it. And no, it did not work. Yeah. I listened a little bit better. Yeah.
I was trying to tell you guys. Survive the marathon. This is not a fucking race.
Yeah, otherwise you will burn yourself out. Hey D, you gotta take over for a second. My dog is trying to chew his leg off. So you keep it going. I'll be right back.
Of course. Surviving this marathon, you gotta think about it. The advice I gave you was for you to make a wise man decision. Because I made a smart man's mistake. I didn't survive the marathon. No, I did the same thing you did. I went in there and went crazy that first night, and though I have a very, very close friend, he could tell you I was in bed pretty much the whole day that Friday, and then I tried to go crazy that Saturday instead of pacing myself again. And there are factors, don't eat to get full, eat to get satisfied, stay very, very hydrated. And when you're tired, take your ass to bed, get some rest. Those small factors will make your vacation or your playcation very, very enjoyable. So by the time you get home Sunday, you'll be energized for Monday to start your work day or how you choose to do your regular time. Yeah. And again, this is why I always tell those guys, hey, talk to some of these vets. They got viable information that'll get you through your way.
Yep. One thing I want to give you a shout out on too, man. Like I said, the first Splash, I wasn't at the main hotel. This one I was, and I met a couple of people that was there. A couple of the guys met. I knew some ladies, people that I follow there on Twitter. But normally I just kind of stick to myself. I'm kind of like more of an observer. You saw me immediately. You remember? You're like, oh man, hold on, stay right there. I'm about to come. Sit down. Uh-huh. Sat right next to me. We chatted. We chopped it up. Talked about the meeting. You even asked me like, what are some things that you see that could be better? And I think for somebody that has never been to an event like that, and I've been in and out of this, off and on for 7-8 years. It's an event like none other. I will tell you that right now. It's an event like none other. But you really, really made me feel a lot more comfortable, and I felt welcomed. And Scarlett and I both said, like, I remember you from the last one. Like, you're completely different. Like, you've evolved. And I'm like, I feel more comfortable in there. So I really wanted to, give you your flowers while you on here.
And I thank you. And I started off and I told you, you're my brother, you're my fellow brother, and you're my fellow king. And I say that, but I also walk that walk. I'm going to show you this. And the mere reason why I ask you, what do you find, what things you see that we'd be doing better? Because again, throughout the day, all day, on the whole weekend, I'm getting compliments. But also, I like to be criticized and critiqued too, because again, I want each and every event to be unique and different in their own way. But the overall premises, I want it to be better. So I want to be big. I want to be better. I want to bring in quality brothers that can tell me something also. And with you being fairly new, but you're not new to the lifestyle. So you being fairly new to my home, you probably got some input or suggestions that can open my eyes and my mind. I'm very open-minded to anything, So that's why I would ask you that. I could ask you the typical questions. Oh, how many girls you fucked today? I know you're going to do that. But no, look at the bigger picture of Splash. You're surrounded by at least 150 to 175 well-educated quality brothers that's going to represent just like you. And I do truly mean it. These guys are your brothers. There's no competition. It's not. We are a completion. And I want you to really see that. So take it for what it is. It's your home. But it's my house. It's my home, but your house. Okay?
Yep, absolutely, man. And I took that advice. I mean, I even had to hit up a couple people, later on in the week when I was struggling. I'm like, hey, I might need a little help. Y'all come through. How to, you setting up connections and stuff. Like, I need a little help, man. So y'all come through and help me out.
No, that's fine. It's a hell of a networking tool. But look at what you can learn there and take outside of Mocha. I was saying at my last meeting, what happened to guys speaking to each other, greeting each other, saying hello? You don't have to just say that within Splash Mocha. Once you go outside and you see a perfect stranger, like I said, a simple hello is so healthy. That little small sentence or phrase can make a person feel better. It'll make you feel better that you made him feel better, or she. So just be genuine to the cause. And trust me, Splash Mocha is not a party. It's not really a convention. To me, it's a movement. And my movement is going to continue to move forward. Even when my inspiration stuff, meets me, because we do have a shelf life, I do believe. And I'm not going to always be there. You may be the next leader, my brother. So, taking all that facts, knowledge, information, and let that be your guidance. I truly mean those words.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing too that I really enjoyed about, when you come through with the single man meeting, man. It's like there are things that to me were just inherent. Like I just knew to do that. Like my background, I came from like the whole private school era where you had to be on point. I couldn't even wear white socks with my dress shoe. You had to have the belt. Your tie had to touch the tip of your belt. So I knew about how to dress and hygiene and things like that. That just came, second nature. But for me, common sense is not common. Common sense isn't common for everybody. So I think that you laying down those ground rules and just saying like, hey, you're trying to create quality, these quality people. It's not even just for the lifestyle, but if you think about it, even going outside of the lifestyle into your normal day to day, just how to carry yourself as a man, that's valuable, right? And I think that as a man, we got to be accountable to each other, and not necessarily check each other, but, you know, build each other up. Like you said, like you said the other day, like I'm gonna continue to build you up, and that you're used to getting put down every day, but I'm gonna build you up. Like for me, that was powerful. You don't hear that, you know what I mean?
But you know something, I gotta jump in and say this. You know, Demetri is, you know, we that's my brother, and him and I have a pact, and we will check each other. He's not gonna let me walk out and make an ass of myself, because if I'm in a place and Demetri's there and he's my brother and I'm fucking up and he watches me, now I can't trust him no more. And in an event like this, everybody who knows me knows that I'm very direct. I'm more direct with guys because I'm not coddling a fucking man. And as a man, if I got to coddle you, I can't deal with you. And on the other side of that, if you call yourself my friend and you don't have the balls to come and tell me, hey, you fucking up, I can't deal with you, because there's a certain thing that's being created here at events like Splash Mocha. Even when D does private parties, when I do private parties, there's a certain expectation that's there. And it's not, there's never a moment where I shouldn't be able to say something to the guy next to me and say, hey, you're making us look bad. You know, or hey, you're making yourself look bad. In a situation where there's multiple guys and you have all of these women and these couples who are here looking for something, I can't say that I'm doing the right thing, and it's not fair for me for anyone to expect to have quality women, quality couples show up when quality guys aren't there. That's just a give and take. And there's a lot of guys who I met at Splash and other events, even guys who've been to my party, where they have a lot of great qualities, but they got one or two things that's scaring the women off. And you better believe I'm going to say something to him about it. You better believe when D's in my house and he's at my party and he sees something that he don't like, he's correcting that shit. And to me, for all of those guys out there who are men and who are bulls, if you're too sensitive to take correction from the guy standing next to you who's trying to help you, then in my opinion, you're too soft to be around me. And in my opinion, you're not going to make a good bull, because there's a lot of things that if you really want to be on a level that the couples want you to be on, you're going to learn stuff as you go. You need them to be comfortable enough to tell you that they liked something, they didn't like something. I've never had a moment when a person came to me and told me something that was true, where I was like, oh, fuck you, I can't believe that. No, I'm not that guy. And that's the mentality that every man should have. You know, I'm a man's man. I was raised by my dad. And being raised by a man, you don't really get the soft fluffiness. You get the mentality that men should be able to talk to men as men. And being a bull or even being a manicorn, most of the women who you interact with, they want you to be a man. So that encompasses a lot. D?
I mean, that's true. That's very, very true. You know, how I pretty much can separate the two, you know, they take the advice or the information as an insult. If you can't determine information from an insult, fuck out of my party. You know, or better yet, this is why my vetting process is even harder. You know, because I mean, for real, you know, it's like I said, a sensitive guy would take the information you give him as an insult, but a true bull, he would not be insulted by the information that you give him. You know, that's just what it is.
He's going to be insulted that you didn't say something.
Of course. You know, and this is why I always tell people I don't allow strangers or a strange bull in my presence of my home until we talk before my party. You know, we have a conversation before he hit my door, because I want him to know that he's coming into my home, my safe haven, and this is what I expect of him. But if he's going to overtalk me and try to tell me more and more information about my party in my house, well, shit, you need to be there. Get the fuck out of here, or you're just not coming in. You can't tell me much. You can't tell me about myself better than me, as well as my parties. What you can tell me is what you heard, but you can't tell me the facts. So why overtalk me? So just be quiet, take in the information. It's going to help you and roll with it. Just that simple. But again, a lot of people take it different. Oh man, you're talking to me too blunt. Why you had to say it like that? You know, D, you and I said this. We talked to a gentleman yesterday. I think it was Saturday. I said, you ever heard that term tripping? Or a guy say, hey man, you tripping. Or check yourself because you're tripping. You're telling that brother that because you don't want him to fall. So you catching him right now before he fall and make an ass out of both you as well as himself.
Mm-hmm.
So you pull him back. You know, that's that term pretty much originated from. Or hey, stop tripping, or you tripping.
Mm-hmm.
When you fall, and as well as just the person that has fallen. But damn man, why you didn't catch me? Because you in your fucking feelings. That's why.
Yeah.
Think about that. Because he's in his fucking feelings. You tell him he's tripping, he get upset, and then he go right ahead and fall anyway. But if you tell him, hey man, you're tripping, take that fucking information and stand the fuck up straight and stand beside me.
Yeah, that's 100%. We had a conversation with somebody, and I mean, D and I are the same way. We are a lot more gentle with women, but at the same time, when it comes to guys, I'm not gentle at all. Especially if you are. I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to be gentle because I don't expect you to be gentle with me. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be disrespectful. But if you pull me aside and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what you're doing, I'm going to respect you as a man for that. But if I pull you aside, you know, just like the gentleman D and I were talking to, we're trying to explain to him, you know, he did something inappropriate, you know, and when we came to him, you know, he was way too deep in his feelings. And it's like, dude, calm down. You know, we're not jumping all over you, but we're not going to come here and coddle you and give you a hug. What we're going to do is just tell you exactly what's going on. We're going to tell you how to fix the situation, because like D said, you know, while you're tripping over yourself, we're trying to keep you from landing on your face. And I think that there's so many guys in the lifestyle who want to be bulls, but instead of them being willing to take advice or even going to talk to guys who are experienced, they don't do that. And so, I mean, how many guys have you talked to who used to play with this couple with this super hot chick, and they, you know, for some reason they can't figure out why, you know, I don't know why they don't want to play with me anymore. It's because you didn't do the fucking job. You weren't there doing what you're supposed to do. You missed out on all the key factors. My wife and I, we play in multiple areas. I'm a bull, but, you know, I'm also stag vixen. So when I invite guys over to play with her, you know, she wants a certain kind of guy. She don't want a guy that's a pussy. She don't want a guy that's sensitive. I'm not a sensitive guy. So if a guy's coming to play with my wife, he damn sure can't be, you know, and I'm very direct with guys. You know, I've had guys say, hey, you know, your wife didn't invite me back. Well, because your balls didn't smell good, or because, you know, you had the conversation of a rock, or because, you know, you were too submissive of a guy. That's not what she's looking for. I'm going to grab her hair, smack her ass, choke her a little bit. You know, if you come in and you're treating her like she's a fucking paper flower, I mean, chances are she's going to either break you or kick you out. you know, so
that's a kick about.
You know, and when I try to explain to the guys, guys take it personal, and I'm trying to help you. I'm being honest. You know, I'm just trying to tell you what she likes, and you know, guys are like, oh well, you know, I don't understand why I just told you why she didn't invite you back. You know, just go do better somewhere else. You know, so being a sensitive dude in this lifestyle, especially if you're trying to please a woman who already has a guy who is. If you're dealing with women who are with men who they usually are in a dominant role, so most of them are not looking for a submissive male. Now, D, I think one of the things that we have to do, and you're really good at this, explaining to a lot of these poor guys out there who thinks that dominant means that you act like an asshole. You know, what's the definition of dominant? Like, how do you define being a dom? Because we talked about before, you got these guys that think dom means being an asshole.
Yes, a lot of them think it's the generic term of being a big asshole to a beta white guy, you know, and they don't understand the true dominance is pretty much you actually got to walk and talk the path that you create. You know, you got to be disciplined to the art. now, the art of being a dominant, as far as in the way you carry yourself. Presentation, again, it boils down to the self-worth of who you are as an individual and being dominant to that nature.
Hey everyone, Mr. Mocha here. Everyone's been trying to figure out a way to interact a little more with the O Faces crew here. So if you want to do that, there's a couple different ways. We have Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at OFaces1, where oftentimes we will jump on and do a live show. So if you want to interact, keep your eye on the O Faces Twitter. Once again, that's at OFaces1. If you want to send in an email and ask questions, you can reach out to us at OFacesLife, and that's OFACEZLYFE @gmail.com. And also, yes, you can get your podcast just about anywhere, but if you want to be able to leave a message or interact with us a little more directly, we actually host our podcast on anchor.fm. And if you want to go onto anchor.fm and start a profile, then you can send us voice messages and interact with us a little more directly. One of the things that I always talk about when it comes to the difference between dominant and submissive, I think that's one of the questions that I get from a lot of guys all the time. Let me phrase that, not questions. When I have conversation with a lot of guys, they tell me what they were doing and how they behave with the couple. And they think that, being dominant is, you're dominating the guy, you're dominating the woman. There are some women who, like anyone else, they don't need a harsh dom. Being dominant is in your body language, is in your tone of voice, which doesn't necessarily mean being negative, doesn't necessarily being harsh. If I ask someone to do something, the tone of my voice, my facial expression, even when it's kind, she's going to want to submit to me. And it's not because it's an angry face. It's the level of confidence that you have. One thing I try to explain to a lot of people is the true dom sub relationship. Submission is when a woman or a couple trust you to lead them. Submission is willing. I don't have to physically overpower you for you to be submissive. I don't have to verbally berate you for you to be submissive. It's a woman or a couple, they've identified that you're strong enough to take the lead and they're willing to follow. That to me is understanding the sub-dom relationship, because I'm not going to yell. That's not what I do. I'm not going to try to force you to do something. If I have to physically overpower you to have my way with you, I'm not being a dom, I'm being a bully. In the bedroom, she may enjoy an assertive man, but when you're thinking about the cuckold relationship with a couple and a bull, there's a lot more than just the physical part. You want the cuckold to be looking at you as something that he is not. You want him to be able to enjoy the fact that you have the ability to please his wife. You have the ability to make his wife submit to you. And you want her to have the desire to submit to you. And I can't tell you how many guys I've met who thinks that means that you talk to the guy like shit, you're rough with the wife. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have a lot of people and a lot of cuckold couples who want you to be very assertive and aggressive, but that's once they trust that you know how to do it. A lot of these guys, like, D said earlier, they think that they can just jump right into it, and that's not how it works.
They don't understand the degree of the levels of cuckolding. They're different. Again, you have what they call a soft cuckold. You also have what they call a sissy cuckold. So you also have this the cuckold, just with cuckold identified himself as one. But they all have different levels. But the overall principle, like you said, is to have that person trust you. Pretty much, they trust you big, not just in the bedroom. They trust you genuinely. And a lot of guys don't get it. And why they don't get it? Because it goes back to what I said in the beginning. They get that book and they read the title and they go straight to the end and they say, fuck the middle. Too many pages. So what do they do with those pages in the middle? They rewrite the fucking story to fit their narrative. And that's when you get a lot of misinformation because they pass that shit down to their brothers and homeboys as, oh man, I fucked this lady like this and the husband did that. And these other guys get their information and think that's what it's all about. But then it take people like you and I to come back and tell them, fuck no, you failed the test. Take your ass back to school. And if you don't fucking graduate, guess what that means? You're not coming to Splash Smoker or my personal private party. A lot of people don't get it. It's so, you know, I used to always say, and I stopped saying it. I used to say fake bulls. I used to say fake bulls. I agree with that term, but I just recently stopped saying it because it's who they identify themselves as in their personal setting or their own personal environment. So I don't want to call them fake when it's comfortable for them. But I do think that misleading, misguiding, and the misinformation is making the overall general populace ignorant. And that's the scary part. That's why we need more quality guys to step up and educate with me. I cannot do this shit by myself. And how do I do it? Because I keep my mind open. I keep evolving. There's a lot of stuff I still don't know yet. I'm still learning. And what I learn, I'm going to spread that out. I will never try to keep it too personal from my own experience unless we having that open dialogue where we share the experience. And if you can get a lesson learned out of that, I'm willing to share that. But I'm not going to make being a dom, being a bull, my own personal gospel as a Splash Smoker is my church, and I'm the pastor. Then I'd be that same guy just like everybody else don't want me to be. I don't want to be that guy. So again, there's a lot of method behind my madness, but overall, it's going to have a pretty picture. Time and comfort.
Now, my question is this. What would you recommend for the cucks out there who are trying to get their wives or their girlfriends into this lifestyle? What would you recommend for them?
Don't rush them. First thing is not to rush them. Have a conversation with her to make sure she's comfortable and ready for that. You know, don't just give her the fantasy part of it. Give her all of it. Give her the overall everything about it, all the information, the ups and downs, how to make adjustments. When you're not comfortable, speak up. You know, again, because it starts with them two having that conversation. And I'm pretty sure you've been in a situation where you were stuck in a hot wife or a slut, and the cook was throwing out so many instructions and directions, but she was landing like a puppet in the prop, not enjoying it. You know, it is that bad narrative. But between them two, I think it really started with a really, really good conversation. But also with him, he got to have a conversation, or not a conversation, but he also got to gather his information and do his homework as well. She got to be on board with him as a team, or it's not going to work.
So how do you deal with the cuck? The guy who's a cuck, his wife has no idea that he's trying to create this, and he's online with you trying to get you to convince his wife to do something that's going on. Or have you ever had that where there's some guy who's, pretending that his wife's on board, but she's really...
Yes. So I've had that numerous amount of time, and they will always tell me, "Oh, you should engage with her like this," or "Why don't you start off like this?" I said, "Well, it's simple. Put her on the phone too. Let all three of us be in the conversation together. So now we all are in the know. because I don't want her to assume what her and her husband talking about. So put her in the conversation. And if he don't, I just don't move forward. Again, if I'm going to be comfort, it's going to be somewhere on my terms as well, of my comfort. I do believe in, creating a little chaos to gain control, but to start off too chaotic to where it's out of control, and then it's going to probably make their relationship poor and unhealthy as well. And I don't want to be a mixture of that. So if you want to start it off right, let all them two have their conversation. But when he bring the conversation back to me, she need to be on board as well. Because the information I give and my directions and everything going to be towards both of them. I have my set of standards as well. Well, my standards are comfort as well.
And that brings me to my next question. How many times have you met a couple where the cuck was trying to be in control of the situation as opposed to his wife being in control?
Well, that happened when I was younger. That happened a lot. And it's because I was misinformed. I kind of let it sway back and forth. But as I got older and the more and more I learned, I wasn't having it. Again, you're not there to bark directions to me. I'm not there to, like I said, I'm not there to be in an interview or to clock in on a job. I'm not a prop. So I take it for what it is, and they're going to take it for what it is as well. But you're not going to look at me or just direct me as a puppet.
Have you ever had a situation where, like, you're playing with a couple and, like, the cuck is trying and he's not willing to... I mean, I think once you step into that role, there's a point where the bull gets to take control. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been in a situation where the cuck was trying to maintain the control, and how long did that last?
Well, it only lasted that one evening because when he pissed me off, I gathered him and tied his ass up to the door. And at that moment, I told him he's not fit to watch. As a matter of fact, you can only listen. And when I'm done with your wife, my slut, maybe I'll allow you to clean her up. Or other than that, I have to sit in the shower and make her wash me. Again, put your fucking nose in the corner, get on your goddamn knees. I'm going to gag you, and I'm going to cuff you. Because, again, he's going to get his punishment as well. He got a set of rules that he got to go by as well. And they keep getting out of pocket with me, that's the punishment. Your punishment is, like you said, you're not going to get that hot wife, that slut, your sub, no dick. Well, that punishment is he's not going to get to see his wife being pleased and satisfied. He can only be able to listen. And if you keep pushing those boundaries, I'll put some fucking earmuffs on his head and he won't be able to hear as well.
Awesome. So now I had a question about, before. I had a lady I spoke to the other day, and she was saying that she really enjoyed race play. And I think that you probably have one of the best race play stories that I've heard. Are you willing to share that one?
Oh my God.
Please. Because I have questions.
Oh man, well, I have a couple. Are you talking about the one? I'm trying to think which one I shared. I shared like 3 with you guys.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one when I dropped a condom, left the condom in the parents' bed?
Listen. You can share a couple, and then we'll let him share a couple. So you go first.
I'm trying to remember which one I shared with you.
I think it was one with the lady from the couple where the husband was.
Oh, the card carrying clue.
yeah, that one. You guys share that one.
Actually, I can't.
Okay, don't share that one. Then share a good one. Share a good one.
Well, I will share this one about this guy. Actually, I worked for him, and he was the driver, but he was very, very racist. He would say small subtles and jabs. And I was always professional. But one day we just happened to be in the bathroom and he was pissing beside me, and I, saw what he was working with. I'm like, yeah, now I see. So the overall point was, I wanted to fuck his wife, but I couldn't get her. She was too loyal. So I ended up getting his daughter. And the best thing about it, the daughter was like my age. So when I did hook up with his daughter, you see all the stuff to tell you what they into, which is it's their thing, offensive to me. I could take it away, but it is what it is. But what I did was I ended up fucking their daughter in their marital bed. And hey, after I got through doing what I do, I just dropped the condom on the mattress and I walked the fuck out. But I threw the covers over the bed. So I left them a treat when they got home. Just like my little personal jab back to him. Now, he did find out once he confronted me about his daughter because he ended up having a mixed child, but that kid wasn't mine. And when he would say, oh, man, this is going to sound kind of savage, he said, oh, man, my daughter had a little jungle bunny. I said, well, I know it's not mine because I left mine in the condom in your bed. And that killed the whole friendship, the whole conversation, which I knew he wanted to whoop my ass, but physically he knew he couldn't. So that was my way of getting his ass back, and now he knew it was actually me. I can't breathe.
Listen, understand, everyone who's listening, you're dealing with savages here. You're dealing with some real savages. Okay, this is... I can find so much entertainment in this lifestyle. Now, wait, who else had a story to share? Oh, I thought somebody else said that.
I'm gonna hear.
All right, so I will share one. So me and Mrs. Mocha went to Trap. So we go to Trap. I'm back in the Diamond Club, and as I'm walking, I'm getting ready to step out of Diamond Club. There's a couple walking in. And you know how you're walking and, you go left and the someone's kind of blocking your path. You go left, they go right. You go right, they go left. So they're kind of keeping you from going by. So the lady, she was trying, she ran right into me and she was, flirting with me and talking to me. And, she reached down, she touched my dick. And, I just chatted with him for a second. Then I was going to find Mrs. Mocha. So I go to find Mrs. Mocha and you know how animated she is. She's like, oh my God, Daddy, I got to talk to you right now. I'm like, what do you want to talk about? She said, so there's a lady in the locker room and she said the N-word. Mrs. Mocha is she's very sensitive about that. So I'm like, well, what happened? Yeah. She said, so we're in the locker room and this black girl bumps into her and she said under her breath that, something, her words were, I can't stand when these niggers don't pay attention at what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, wow. So scene 2, we're back at the bar and hanging out. And then the lady who ran into me, she's talking to me. And Mrs. Mocha's got this look on her face. And once again, she doesn't do well with hiding her expression. So I walk over, I'm like, what? She's like, that's the lady. That's the lady that said the N-word. I'm like, oh, really? So I'm talking to him and, I'm flirting with her because now I'm saying to myself, I'm going to fuck this racist. I'm not going to get offended. I'm going to fuck the shit out of her. So we get her in the room and, of course, Mrs. Mocha's super fucking offended, but I'm thoroughly entertained. And so, and the ladies, the couple's from Alabama, but Mrs. Mocha was like, the lady's husband looked horrified when she said it. So, we talked to him and the guy's like, I kind of like to watch. So I take her back there and I fucking thoroughly punish her. Like I had no mercy. And she's like, can you go easy? And I said, here's the deal. I can go easy. I said, I can stop or I can do what I'm doing. That's the option. I can fuck you how I want or I can stop. Just tell me to stop. She's like, no, don't stop. So, I'm trying to make sure that she feels me in her stomach for the next 4 days. So we finish fucking, and she's like, my friend Tyrone is never going to believe that I had sex with a black guy.
You got to fucking prove that.
and listen, the only reason that I didn't dive headfirst into the race play is because I know Mrs. Mocha can't handle it. Because otherwise, I would have definitely told her that I know what she said in the locker room, and this is why you're getting punished. Once again, it's hard to offend me, and especially knowing that, she's like, I've never fucked a black guy before. I'm like, yeah, I know you haven't. So,
we can show these all a lot, man. These type of scenarios and these type of stories, but it's very, very funny, like I said, to be in this environment. And you're going to have these, I don't want to call them issues, but you're going to have these people, these personal fantasies that's not going to be comfortable for you. But if you're going to be open-minded to at least engage in it, you got to be open-minded to what you're going to get. You certain parts of the fence you just can't shut off.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, that this is a fantasy world. This woman came into the club. She's racist as shit, clearly, but she wanted to fuck a black guy. And she got everything she wanted. And for me, I wasn't hung up on what she said. I was happy that I was the person that had the opportunity to make her fantasy come true. And I think that I personally have done my part in making race relationships better. All right, wait, we had somebody just join us. Okay, it's is it Sophia? I'm stuck on the last name.
Hello, I'm a couple, really, a couple cuckoo.
Okay.
And my wife is a housewife, and I am a couple husband. Called in about 3 years. It was a really topic. Good, I like it, but I would rather to hear you about it.
You rather hear about the? So have you guys experienced it?
Question?
Yeah, to hear about cuckolding relationship and your experience about it.
And let me guess, you said you only been in it for like 3 years now?
So when you say you want to hear about the cuckolding experience, the relationship, do you mean just the relationship between the cuckold and between you and your wife, or the relationship between you, your wife, and the bull who you bring into your bedroom?
I would like to hear about your experience in in a relationship, the experience with a bull. Okay.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience. I can tell you the better experiences that I've had. I think that if I say from beginning to end, one of the best relationships that I've had with a couple, it was a couple where they explained to me what their fantasies were up front. They told me that when I first met them, they were not very experienced, but they wanted to learn more and they wanted to do more. So I started off, the guy in particular, the first time we met, he asked me, okay, what would you like my wife to wear? I met them at a hotel. I told him that I wanted her to wear a black dress with black lingerie on. I went to the hotel. She had on exactly what I wanted. And he was very submissive. So I had him sit in a chair in the corner, and I sat down with his wife and I spoke to her and I made out with her. That's what we did the first time because they were very nervous and very new. I really went there the first time with no intention of actually playing with her because, he was saying how nervous she was. But we wound up playing the first time, and we spoke a lot. Not only her and I, but him and I. He would tell me the things that she liked, and when I would speak to her, she would confirm those things. And we had a very good relationship for a long time, and being able to tell me exactly what they were looking for, and me being able to fulfill those fantasies. Like I said, he was a very submissive guy, and just like D, like he was the kind of guy that sometimes enjoyed being denied. So there were times where I would have him, either watch, or there were times when I would go to their house where while I was playing with his wife, he would go down and make us lunch, bring it back up, bring us water. So the first thing I would say with the relationship is, and I said it earlier, communication. You know exactly what you want. You should know exactly what your wife wants. And like Dee said earlier, as long as both of you are willing to talk to the guy who you have invited into your relationship, and you both communicate, then it gives him the opportunity to take over and fulfill those fantasies. But talking is very, very important. The talking is just important as the sex. And the better you communicate, the better the relationship between the three of you will be, and the longer that relationship will last. And that's just, of course we had lots of experiences within that time, but every experience that we had, everyone was happy about. The husband got what he wanted because he enjoyed watching. Sometimes he enjoyed being tied up. And then the wife, she enjoyed the attention that she got from him. He made her feel beautiful, and he made her feel like she can have everything in the world that she wanted. And for me, since what I offered her was what she wanted, and he was excited to see her get it, that also enhanced the relationship between the three of us. They wound up moving out of state, but we were really, really good friends for a long time. And there were never any boundaries crossed, outside of the time that we hung out or the times that we spent together. There was never a moment where she didn't respect her husband. And there was never a moment where the husband was being selfish, because a lot of times there are a lot of situations where a cuckold husband tends to be very selfish, where he's only thinking about his self and his fantasies, but he's not thinking about what she wants. So there was a very good balance there. And that's just that's probably my best personal experience.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question okay?
Thanks a lot. It's good, interesting, your experience.
How about you, D?
Apollo?
No, my path was pretty much similar to yours, but also, like I said,
Apollo.
Every cook is different. They have different degrees, friendly dynamics. Some want like I said, the demanding, the neglect, the humiliation. They also want the ones where they like to engage. You have to have a comfort and be healthy in that. But also the biggest thing, we kept saying that we have to communicate. Not only, yes, we have to have open communication, we have to also comprehend each other too. Like, we have to have an understanding to what we're talking about and what we want. Because a lot of people take these conversations and, I basically come down to listening. But they have to understand that this is what it is, but also being open minded to it can change. It's very, very, it's vast. It's very, very vast. But I will say to Mr. Sophia that they find their comfort in conversation with each other.
Well, really, we are a couple. My wife is here and together. We are together. But Sophie is a little bit shy. She was housewife. But I don't have a really many experience. But really, I have only two experience in cuckolding. with a bull, but it was really exciting. It was really good experience when I saw her with another man. I was really yeah, excited, man. And our style is Stack and Dixon because the you know about the film size is not really good to me. But it's great, man.
And here's the thing: it's okay to, as a husband, enjoy playing, but also enjoy watching. It's okay for you to enjoy watching and even putting yourself in a submissive role where you enjoy what she's doing. You know, you don't have to fill in just one category, because when it comes down to anything lifestyle related, every single lifestyle experience is unique to the couple that's experiencing it. You know, you don't have to do things the way someone else does. You know, there are many things that you can do. I know with my wife and I, you know, we're a Stag Vixen couple, but then there's times where she can play the role of a hot wife because I enjoy watching my wife get fucked. You know, by no stretch of the imagination am I a cuckold, but I enjoy seeing her get pleased. Then at the same time, you know, my favorite playmate of all time is a unicorn that my wife introduced me to years ago when she had her hysterectomy. And my wife enjoys knowing that I'm playing with her. So you don't have to just be one thing. You can enjoy multiple things in a lifestyle. That's the beauty of the lifestyle. You don't have to necessarily identify as one thing. You can identify as one thing or as 5 things. You just have to do what feels good to you and your wife. You know, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely. You're right.
Well, I think I may say this for another time, but it falls upon the umbrella of my slut, my cook. You know, it falls up under that umbrella, but you know how I roll, Mike. I mean, I'll call you Mike. D. You know how I roll. You know, my slut is your slut. And it brings me great joy to know that she's pleasing you, or pleasing whoever I present her to. Because, again, my favorite quote, bro, is like, what? Make me proud.
Yeah. Now that right there is definitely a whole different topic, and that's going to be the next time, you know, everyone's going to hear a lot more from Demetri, because him and I have a lot of deep conversations. And, you know, I always say I'm happy when one of my brothers correct me, and, you know, he says something that made me think earlier, where it was because I'm always the one to say these, you know, wannabe bulls, but he was correct and kind of correcting that statement. I can't call them wannabe bulls. You know, my definition of a bull and their definition of a bull may be different. But, you know, D and I we've got a conversation that we have to have, you know, to the guys out there who don't know how to share their sluts. You know, you know, they don't share properly, and they don't have the right mentality when it comes to what we consider the women in lifestyle. And for the ladies who are listening, you know, we are firm believers that we want to give the women who look to us and give us the responsibility of managing their pleasure and their fantasies. We want to make sure they get that. And there's a lot of guys out there who put handcuffs on the women who they play with and restrict the amount of pleasure they can get. But that's going to be the next time. Just so you guys know, Demetri and I you will hear a lot from Demetri. Demetri and I have been trying to get together and come on a regular basis and share just our experience. I mean, between the two of us, we've got, you know, 4 decades of lifestyle experience. And, you know, that encompasses the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we still learn new things every single day. Still
evolving, brother.
Constantly. You know, understand the nature of human beings. If you're not growing, you're dying, and I'm not ready to die yet. So I want to keep going.
Exactly.
Next time, but D, we do got to talk about the party. You know, the Old Faces party that you came to. Next time we get on here, because that was a barn burner.
Man, I lost weight and my balls. Man, my balls were empty.
Mine too. I was definitely drained at that party. Now, everybody, please do us a favor. If you are an Old Faces fan, if you do listen to our podcast on a regular basis, it is Old Faces with a Z. Go on and subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get access to bonus episodes. You'll also be able to listen to episodes when they're released early. And like I said before, Demetri, you know, my brother's going to be in here a lot more, because there's a lot of information that we do want to share with the gentlemen out there. There's a lot of information that we want to share with the couples. You know, there are multiple conversations that we've had off air that can really benefit couples a lot, especially when they're trying to find quality single guys. Demetri and I both, because we both do private parties, we're constantly put in a position to vet single males. And we want to teach couples how to vet single males to get a successful result, because there are a lot of couples out here who are missing out on really good males, or they keep finding guys who are just not fitting the bill, and that's because their vetting process is off. You got to go ahead and say something to them to wrap this thing up.
Well, I wanted to just say thank you to everyone, and until next time. So my favorite thing is not goodbye, but to be continued. Thank you, and we love you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for coming and listening to me and Demetri on the cutting board. This is Old Faces Podcast. And like I said, please take the time to, wherever you listen to your podcast, also, please give us a review. The reviews help. That helps, you know, people see our podcast and people listen to what we do. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to click and listen to us. So until next time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys. Welcome. Hey, I want to thank you for chopping it up with us on this episode of The Cutting Board. Once again, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to show your support, please go on and subscribe. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a review, give us some likes, share us with your friends. Until next time, goodbye from the Mochas.